Hello everyone, hopefully this is the first of many in a series. I wanted to start recording on Sundays hopefully in my playtime in my own art journal. Something that I'm going to create just for me and just to play and to practice and to show you out there that not everything that is created beautifully and perfect the first time around. I have a lot of problem with that myself when I see all these beautiful pieces of art out there and I think, oh my gosh, how come I'm not that good? How come, what do I need to do to get to that level? And then I realize that I'm at my own level and that's all that really matters. I teach art journal classes once a month, and I tell the ladies in my classes that what you create is for you and for nobody else, and that I'm only there as a teacher to help guide you and get you through how you would like to see your page end up in the end. I only give you a sample and you go from there. So with all that said, I'm going to just go in my journal, and this is kind of a play, clean up, messy journal that I use throughout the week when I'm creating, and sometimes I create projects. This one was a nice one I created for Emerald Creek using Nicole Wright's newest stamps. But anyway, so I'm just going to go through here and I'm going to choose a background that I've started in my book. And then we'll go from there. This is kind of a cool one. It looks like that I've just glued down some paper and some crackle paint. So let's do this one. So what am I going to do with this page? I'm not sure. So for here, what I decided to do is use Tim Holtz's Distress Sprays, and I used it in Pickled Raspberry. I started with that, and then I went into some tea dye, followed by some abandoned coral. The abandoned coral was a little bit orangier than I thought it would be, but I was still quite happy with it. So then I decided it needed another color, but I wasn't quite sure, so I got out my coloring wheel, and I was decided that, according to the color wheel, that I needed to add kind of a blue. So I went with a peacock feathers and added that to the page. Then I went back and I sprayed in my original three colors to intensify it on my page. Now there's all this extra ink and I didn't want to waste it, so I got out another journal and I opened the journal up to a blank page, and then you can see here I'm going to press that page onto it to soak up some of that ink. So I press it 2 or 3 times just to get some of that ink up. And once again, I've started a background for a future project, which is what I've started this page on, if you can remember. So it was still a little too wet to work on, so then I took out some paper towel and rolled it to soak it up, and then I was quite surprised to see that there was a lot of spots on the pages that resisted the sprays, like the tissue tape, the glue, and the background. Now it's time to give it a bit of a dry and try to decide what I was going to do next. But in the meantime, I saw all this extra ink sprayed onto my craft mat, so I used a number 10 tag and I picked that all up. Now it was time to choose a stencil. I wanted to use 3 different stencils for each color. So then I got out the paints that corresponded with my background page. So I got out Peacock Feathers, Pickled Raspberry, and then I used black. I love how black pops on everything. So I used black in the tile and did that page. And then I couldn't quite decide what to do next, so I grabbed my black archival ink and I rubbed it across my page. Here you'll see I added some pearl paint to my craft mat, and with my little tool I flicked water on my page and then I added the excess onto my tag once again. And then here you'll see me drawing that page, and thought, why am I drawing that page when I have a perfectly good page next to it that I could be creating on? So that is what I'm going to switch to next. So I got out those 3 Distress Stain ink pads that corresponded to that page, and I started covering my second page with just the ink and the blending tool. You will see shortly when it was time to switch over to my tea dye that my arm was tired. So I got out the ink pads and I put them directly to the page. and that's what you see here, and then I will blend it in some with the blending tool. I love how the background, as it was a mop-up page from before, there's some resisting going on. There I did the spraying with the Distress water bottle that allows me to get the big flicks on my page, and here I am adding in some more paint to the second page to go blend it with the first page. So I will continue on doing this on this page and adding the different paints that correspond. So once again, it is the pickled raspberry, peacock feathers, and the black soot and Distress paints. I decided I wanted to clean up my stencils, and I was going to clean up on my page, and I thought, well, I'll go back to that mop-up page that I started, and I will just add another layer to that page. That's what you see me doing here, is cleaning off my stencil with a baby wipe and creating more on my background. Now is just time to decide what's to add some stamps. And I couldn't quite decide. I don't really have a pink archival ink other than Rose Madder. So I did use Rose Madder, as well as I used Forget Me Not and Orange Blossom, both of which are Wendy Vecchi archival inks. So I added stamps throughout both pages. And yes, two of my stamps are cut in half. Makes it easier to handle. Now here I knew I wanted to add hearts to my page because it is Valentine's Day. I wasn't quite sure about the Cupid, but I did like those hearts. So then here I am going through some more of my stamps to see if I can find something else I would like to put on this page. So after going through all of Tim's stamps, I came across this one of Dina's, and I decided that would be really cool on my page, but why don't I use some of that new tissue paper that I've just got in the mail from Simon Says Stamp. And so I stamped that on a piece of tissue, and then I thought that maybe I could wet it like regular tissue paper and tear it with water, but you can't. So here I am cutting it out a bit. Then I'm going to use some of Dina's gel medium, and I'm going to attach it to my page. As you can see, it kind of blends in and breaks down like it was right in the background of your page, as if you stamped it right on your page. I'm quite happy with how this turned out, and I'm sure there's lots of other things I can do with this, but I'll have to figure that out at a future date. So out of the scrap paper that I tore off that page, I went ahead and I stamped a saying on it, which I then I stamped with archival ink, and then I have used some clear embossing powder and I heat set that. I love this technique that Tim taught us quite a few years ago. See how bright that pops? So then I'm going to glue that on my second page using the same thing, the gel medium. At first I thought I would glue it on the heart, but I didn't like it there, so then I tore it off and put it on my second page. So now I was to have to figure out what I wanted to do with the hearts. So I had leftover tissue, I stamped it, applied it the same way as I applied the other two stamped images on the tissue paper. So I put that up in the upper left-hand corner. Here I am just adding, I thought I would, this tag, that I would do something with it to put on my page, but I wasn't quite sure, but I knew that I wanted to use it somehow. So here I am adding the same Distress ink with the blending tool onto the page. I use the water and I do the flick method. I dry it. And here I've got out some Thinlits, the mixed media Thinlits, and I thought, that's going to be kind of cool. But I wasn't quite sure. So I thought, well, you'll see next. So I take out a piece of black paper and I cut it out of black paper. There it is. And then it really wasn't what I wanted. So then I had to think a little bit. And that's me playing with the tag. I got distracted really easy from working on the art journal background into playing with the tag because I do love creating with tags. And then I decided that I would cut that out and glue it on the corner of my page. So I quite liked that, but it really wasn't what I wanted. And I thought, oh, it would be cool to put it there. So my piece of paper was big enough, so I took that back to my Vagabond and I cut it out again in the corner of my page. And this is what I wanted. So I take that and I trim it out to fit over the heart. Perfect. Next I'm going to get out some tissue tape and I'm going to tape that down. So I wanted to use the same tissue tape that was in the background of the first page. And so I've taped one side, flipped it over, taped the other side. And then I'll take a bit of gel medium and run it over both of those in order to secure them to the page so they won't fall off. Here I'm just cleaning out my Thinlits before I put them away. And I'm not quite sure what I want to do with that extra piece that I originally cut out. So I think I just set that aside for now. Okay, so now it's time, I decided that it's time to add some words to my page. So I go through and figure out what I want to put. But I couldn't remember the words, so there you saw me just scribbling it on a piece of paper. And now I'm going to go ahead and use some of Tim's little tiny type and as well as his chit chat stickers. And I'm going to attach the words to my page. I like to stick the stickers onto my hands as I spell out the words. But then when that happens, every once in a while a letter falls off and I lose it. And then I have to take another letter because I can't find the first letter. I've decided on the back of that black piece of paper I'm going to write a secret message on the inside. So I do that here in a bit with my white Uniball pen. So remember that tag I had? I went ahead and I cut a heart out of that tag. Now I'm just inking the edge of it and I'm going to attach that to my page. So I'm using my white pen and I'm going through and I'm highlighting some words and adding an arrow to my heart. Then I'll get my black pen out in a bit and I'll highlight some of the white words. There you go. And then I decided that my second page needed some words on it as well. So I'm going to go back to my Chit Chat stickers as soon as I'm done outlining in my white. And I'm going to add, oh, sorry, before I did that, I went ahead and added some pearl paint in with the cap of the paint cap to my pages. And there's my little secret message. It's not really secret. You could probably read it from here if you can understand my writing. And there I go. That's where I decided I need some words on my second page. So I'm adding them to the words to that page. And then I take some words off because I decided I wanted to use my tiny type and do some of the black and the white letters on black as well. And I think that's about it for my page. I thank you very much for sticking around with me and watching this today. I hope you enjoyed it. You can find me at mrsgmoments.com on the website. You can also find me at Mrs. G Moments Facebook and on Instagram and Twitter. Thanks for dropping by today, and I hope to hear from you soon. Bye for now.